Hey everyone, my name is Brian Logan. I play bass trombone with the Houston Jazz Orchestra and other numerous groups around town. And I'm looking forward to walking you through the 3 Texas All-State Jazz Etudes today. Looking forward to it. So this is Etude 1, tips and tricks for Etude 1. Starting at the beginning. So first of all, I want to say to play the bass trombone at a high level, you have to do a few things before you even play this music. You have to breathe very, very big, okay? I do breathing exercises every day. And I start out, sometimes I use a breathing tube, okay? It's just gonna be, you can get this at any hardware store. It's very, very easy. Okay, you have to fill up, okay? Bass trombone takes a lot of air, especially if you're a tenor trombone player, maybe trying out the bass trombone or something like that. You want to try regional all-state jazz on bass trombone. You can't use the same air that you're going to use that you used to use on tenor trombone. The air has to be wider and slower. And every time I play tenor trombone, just as much as I play bass trombone, and so I have to think about these things a lot when I switch to bass trombone. So, walking through these etudes here a little bit. I'm a big fan of using the G-flat valve, okay? So on my bass trombone, I have an F valve and a G-flat valve. That's probably how most of your bass trombones will be. And so I have kind of my own terminology with that, which I haven't really seen a lot of people use. When I reference the F valve, I'm going to say T for trigger, okay? When I use the G-flat valve, I'm going to say V. And I may shorthand that throughout this video. If you hear V, then that means that I'm using the second valve independently. When I use both together, then I do X. Okay, it always made me think of an X, I guess, what my fingers are doing. And so I use both, and I'm going to say X for helpful tips with positions in this etude. So starting at the beginning, let's see here. Pick up to measure 1. The B natural and the C, I'm going to play on the G flat side. Okay, I'm going to play on that side. It enables me the positions are much closer together. I think the tone color is more even in that valve than it is in the F valve. So I'm gonna do that. So that's in measure 1. In measure 2 on that C, I'm gonna also play that C on the G flat side. You could go out to 6 if you want to, or you could go to trigger first, but you're in G in 4th position, and so you're right there next to that. So it's gonna be much, much smoother. I would definitely recommend that. And then in the pickup, the 3rd bar, the low D, I'm going to switch back over to the F valve. Okay, I'm going to use this valve for the low D. You could play it in X1. There's a couple of different options, but I'm going to play it there because I'm going to go right out to the F sharp and then catch the C in 6th position in the 3rd bar. And then I'm going to do the same thing in the 4th bar, F sharp in 5th, and then C in 6th, F sharp in 5th again. Let me demonstrate that line for you a little bit, and you can see. I'll play it slow. You can play along with me if you have your instrument. did with my valves there, and that will be a continual theme that I do. So in the second line, pretty much F valve on the first two bars, bar 5 and bar 6. I'm going to stay in the F valve and going into bar 7. I'm going to stay on that side. I'll play that line slowly once. You can play along with me if you have your horn. So it makes sense. That line's pretty straight ahead. So on the third line, I'm gonna not too much valve work, no valve work at all actually. Going into measure 13, I'm gonna continue going out to 6th right there. I'm not gonna go back into 2nd and 1st. Let me demonstrate that. You can play along with me if you have your horn. This is measure 11. See what I did right there? So continue out. Don't let it get to be too up and down in measure 11 and 12. I judge these competitions a lot, and a lot of the time I hear this kind of playing. That kind of playing. Don't do that. That's too ragtime, too Jelly Roll Morton. That's not going to work. It needs to be much more even. Everything is under this umbrella of lyricism. We just have to change our articulation just a little bit, okay? And going into bar 14, I'm going to play on the G flat side again for the C and the B. For the C, I'm going to play in V flat 2, if you can see that. It's a little bit lower than the second position. Just use a tuner and you'll find exactly where it is on your horn. For B natural, I'm going to play in V sharp 4. That's where it is on my horn with my current tuning system. It may be slightly different on yours, but you can figure out where that is. So V for the C and the B natural, and then for the turn in bar 14, I'm going to play the B flat in sharp 5th. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do a natural slur with that. Let me show you what that is. You can play along with me if you want. This is pick up to 14. Get the idea? And then I'm going to go back into 1st for the D in measure 15. I just think it sounds a little bit better. So going on to 17, everything's pretty straight ahead. I'm going to play the C in X4, right about there. And I'm going to play the D out and trigger flat 4th right after that. I'm not going to go back into 1st. Don't do that. Play it on the F side. And let's see if there's any other tricky spots on that line. I don't think there is. Let me play. I'll play 17. You can slide along with me if you want. Makes sense. I ended in trigger 1st. I think that makes the most sense because you're on your way to 1st, and so I just caught the low F and trigger 1st. 21, I go back out to 6th for the low F. I think that makes more sense. It's, as trombone players, we want to try to catch everything in one motion if we can. We want to avoid going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, okay? And the tone color's not going to match if we do that either. So 6th to 5th, and then staying in the F valve the whole time. Now, probably the trickiest measure in the whole piece, I think, is measure 24. And maybe you thought I was going to say the last line. The last line's not easy, but measure 24 is within the region cut. So you really got to practice measure 24. So I'm playing, the D in 4th, and then the C in V2, the B in V4, and then the A in 2nd, and then for the end of the measure, I play the F in V2 at the end of 24, the last note of measure 24. Let me play measure 24, okay? Here's 24. Cool? Get that? Let me do it one more time. Okay, and I'm playing all of that on the G flat side, okay, because it's closer to 4th position, okay, and I think the tone color is more even, as I've already said. As I go into 26 and 27, 27, I'm going to play the A in 6th. I think that makes a lot of sense. The C in 28, you can play it in 6th or in V2, whichever one you want to do. I think probably V2, but either way, I think will work. And then the beast of the last line. Typically in these etudes, in the all-state cut, it's more difficult, so take your time. Remember, the old adage, I say this a lot in my teaching, okay? Fast, practicing slow progress, okay? Slow practice, fast progress. Don't forget that. And trust me, I'm not saying it from a position, I struggle with that too. It's very difficult for me. I have to remind myself, especially if a lot of you have good ears, you know how this goes. Or if you've listened to me play it a lot, then you're like, oh man, I got this, I can do this. But you've got to go slow. You've got to give your fingers and your arm and your body a chance to learn the coordination of playing the etude. So really go slow for a while. Even if you're excited about it and you're like, dang, I want to sound just like that. Give yourself time to go slow. Even I practiced this slow at first when I was learning it, okay? Even as excited as I was. So the last line, I'm starting in trigger flat fourth, okay? And I'm going all the way to trigger first. I'll do all that one motion. I'm staying in the F valve, okay? I'm playing low B in X flat 5. That's where it is on my horn, X flat 5, all the way out there. I'm very generous with that position too. So feel free to go pretty far out. It's not quite 6, but it's out there. Use a tuner again, and you'll find exactly where that is. Let me try the last line. I'm gonna go slow and I have to breathe probably in the middle of it because it's a lot of notes. You can slide along with me if you have your horn. It's just fun. So yeah, that's a good start on this etude. Please just practice it slow. I would start maybe at a tempo of around 70 or 75, but feel free to go even slower than that. You're the boss of your own tempos, okay? Just, you decide how slow you need to go to be able to get this accurate, okay? Again, key points, everything needs to be under the umbrella of lyricism and legato. Don't let it get to be too up and down, okay? You really need to try to hear the lines. This etude has a lot of long lines of eighth notes, so make sure you're hearing where those long lines go, okay? There's no dynamics, there's no markings of any kind like that, so you gotta be creative with what you want to do, okay? And listen to great jazz artists, okay? That's probably the best thing you can do, and you can go to live performances, okay? Like going to hear the Houston Jazz Orchestra whenever we meet again. But go to live performances, that's the best thing you can do, okay? All right, thank you.